Um, yeah. So, so far we have been working with one object at a time, but in real programs, in real world programs, we never work with just one thing. Um, as you can see, this describes just one student. Now imagine we have a whole class, a whole class of multiple students. Can you already see the problem? Yeah, this is the list of students. One, two, three. I mean, you should be able to see the problem now. Let's imagine we have 30 students, 100 students, or more than that, depending on the size of probably the school, you know. So we don't, in this case, we don't want 100 variables. We don't want 30 variables. We can't keep listing and creating new variables. We want a system where we'll be able to hold all the students in just one place, where we'll be able to list them and group them in just a container. And that is what brings us to an array of objects. So yeah, that brings us to an array of objects. An array is just a box that can hold many things. Let's give this instance an array of numbers. So this holds three numbers. You will see the difference between these two arrays. This holds numbers, while this array holds objects. Each object in this array, as you can see with the brackets, it's an array, and each object in this array is one student. You can see Dan, Alex, and Jimmy. So this is a box, and inside the box are students objects. Students object. This is a student. This is the second student, and this is the third student. Uh, so you get the point. So going over it again, the problem we are trying to solve here is that we we are imagining where students are more than three, where students are beyond 100, or you understand, we don't want to keep creating new variables. And that is where the array of objects comes in. It helps us to group um, all the students into one box. As you can see, the students here groups all the students array here groups all the students. This is student one, student two, and so on. Now let's move on to how to get data out of an array, line 42. So um let's get data out of this student array. So let me write this. This is literally saying, give me the first thing in this array. Oh, sorry, I meant students. Yeah. It is saying, give me the first thing in this array. Let's console, let's bring this on the console tab for you to see what we are talking about. So first student is so let's go to the console tab. Oh, oh, it's saying first student is undefined. Let's check what is going on. Um, okay, so it is meant to be students. Yeah, but let's see the console tab. Uh, Yeah, can you see it is giving us the first thing in the array. And what is the first thing in the array? This is the first object, which is dance object. So yeah, um that means when you say students bracket zero, it means gets me the first student. Sorry. And when you say when you use index one, it means the second student. And such is the third sorry, the second, which means the third student. And um getting the first property, let's imagine we want to get like Dan, we want to get the first student's name. We'll just do it this way. We'll first get the first student, the first student object by using the index zero, and then we use the dot notation to get its name. This means get the first student, then get their name. This is saying get the first student object, then get the student's name using the dot notation. So let's put this also on the console tab. Um, the first student's name is, let's check our, can you see? Let me expand this. It says the first student's name is Dan. This it is literally saying I have gotten the first object and the first object name, the first object, the name there is Dan. So let me just read it out again. It is just saying student zero dot name. I hope you get that. Student zero dot name. The first, the object itself, the array itself, the first object within the array, and the property name. You can do the same thing with its age. The first student's name is student.name plus, and you can just say, and the student's age is, let's go back to the screen. You would see the first student's name is Dan and the student's age is 25. Do you understand? Just understand that it is students zero dot name, the array, the index, the object, and the property. Um, why does this order matter? We must always go in this order of picking the object first before picking the property. If you try to do student dot name, this would not work. It won't work because the array does not have a name. The student has the name. It is the objects within the array that has the name. The array itself doesn't have the name. I hope you get that. The student itself, the student's array, sorry. The student's array itself doesn't have the property name. It only carries the multiple objects. I hope you understand that. So now we are moving to loop. What does a loop really do? Let me just write it down. A loop is how JavaScript looks at each and every, let me just use, it looks at every item in a list, sorry, in a list, one by one. That is what a loop is. A loop is a system in which JavaScript looks at every item in the list, one after the other. For example, this is a for loop, for of loop. Let me make it clear. Sorry, a for of loop, which says let students of students let console the log students. That's name. Let me explain it in plain English. This is literally saying for each student inside the student list. Here is the student list, line 26 to 39. For each student inside the student list, print the student's name. Let's go to our console.log and okay, let's just um, comment this out. Comment this out. So this is saying for each student inside the student list, print the student's name. And you would see here Dan, Alex, and Jimmy. Good. And so it runs in this manner. Um, this is how it is being run internally by JavaScript. Let me label this JS internally. Internally, JavaScript is doing this. One student, the student equals students index, students index O. This is the first step JavaScript is taking, and the first student's name is Dan. This is step one. Step one. Let's just make it very fast. Step two and step three. Um, Dan, Alex, and Jimmy. So this is what JavaScript is doing internally. It is saying print print Dan, print Alex, and print Jimmy. Step one, step two, and step three. Then it stops. The loop does not know the names. It only knows the next student. I hope you get that. That's it to say the loop doesn't know the names or knows the next student. It is just looping through the array and printing the names from each object. Let's take a look at this um this array. Now I have added methods inside the objects within the array. So each student can know how to introduce themselves. So let's write the loop. Let's students of you recall that yesterday the error we made was it wasn't an error anyways, it was just another approach to printing the introduction, the behavior of the object. So instead we're consoling on line 105 and returning the introduction. But yeah, now we are just printing directly from the loop. So let's see this on the console tab. Okay, you can't access students before initialization. Oh, sorry, that is this initial loop that we created. So let's go back to the screen now and see the behavior. Wow, we're still getting a weird behavior. So all of that is as a result of the initial declaration of this student, and the student doesn't exist anymore. So now it is going to function very fine. Let's take a look. Yeah, so you can see each student indeed knows how to introduce himself. Each student is speaking for himself. I am Dan, I am 25. I am Jimmy, and I am 28. Good. Now let's um, move to bracket notation. I remember we discussed that I was going to try to make it as clear as possible in a different video. So here you go. So sometimes we don't know the property name ahead of time. Hence, we store it in a variable. Let's say let key equal to name. Here, JavaScript replaces this key with its value, which is name. So it becomes, this is the same thing because JavaScript is literally replacing the key with its actual value, which is name, which is just the same as student dot name. And to make this clear, let me define an actual object because, yeah, let's bring this down here to make it very clear and comment this out. You see, this is the same thing. This bracket notation where the key is being replaced by its original property is just the same thing as the other approach, which is the dot notation. Now let's move on to why this is wrong. Um, Students and trying to access the name directly using the bracket notation. First, you see it throws an error, name is duplicated, which is related to JavaScript itself. But aside that, JavaScript here thinks the name is a variable. If there is no variable called name, it breaks. But when you do this, let me just label it first. This means the word name. Yeah, JavaScript doesn't confuse it because it's not confused by what you are putting there because you are actually naming providing the name of the key. Now let's imagine we want to print the age of every student in this array of um, objects, this student's array of objects. I want to use the bracket notation to access the name. We would have to define the key and name it, okay, age. Okay, let me just say key age. Going to be students with the key age. You get it. Let's see what it prints on the screen. Can you see the age of each and every student in the array of objects? So, and I really hope this recap makes it much clearer. And if you have any further questions concerning the topics that have been discussed in this video, just let me know.